There are things you can do to help yourself from having weight issues or having weight impact your life. And it's the same whether you are trying to prevent yourself from getting obesity, whether you're involved in a treatment already, medication or surgery, and you're trying to optimize that treatment, or whether you've had the treatment months ago and now you're sort of in a weight maintenance phase. The things that you can do to help yourself are pretty similar. And so we're gonna go over them here today, briefly, but I'll list them out for you so that you can think about them later. And it's just meant to help. No judgment here. Again, no blame or shame here. Oh, I'm Dr. Evan. Almost didn't introduce myself. I'm the pediatric bariatric surgeon who's done more cases than anybody in the country and been taking care of this disease for over 20 years. And I'm here to help you. So anyone watching this video has probably already heard eat less or eat healthier, exercise more. And you hear that enough and you tune it out. But there are some nuggets of truth in there, and the reality is that the environment does interplay with your genes to either make you more or less likely to develop weight issues or obesity. There's a whole field about how the environment affects your genes, and that field's called epigenetics. We're not gonna get into the details of that because it's super complex, but just know there's some stuff that's in your control, which is sort of the environment, and then there's stuff that's not in your control, which are your genes. So like when people say to me, is it nature or nurture? I tell them it's both. Like everything in life, right? Your genes make you predisposed to something, and then how you deal with those genes is a part of the equation too. It's actually easier to make some of these changes that I'll talk about if you are either getting a medication or have had surgery, because a lot of it is really hard to do without. Like I can't tell you to eat healthier if you feel like you're hungry all the time, because you're just gonna go for whatever's nearest. But that's how a lot of the interventions that we do work, is that it actually gives you time, because you're not hungry, to think about the choices and make some better choices. So what are those better choices, and how do you start getting there? So number one problem is sugar, even though everybody likes things that taste sweet. And the artificial sweeteners are really actually no better for you. In fact, they might be worse. So I often tell my patients the first thing they need to do is stop drinking sugar-sweetened beverages. And it's hard to do. So if you drink them a lot, just start by cutting it down some. But water, the flavored waters, as long as they're not, again, with added sugar or artificial sweetener, those are the things we want you to drink the most of. Again, if you have an occasional soda or an occasional sweetened beverage, it's okay. But lots of folks don't even know that smoothies are horrible for you because they've got a ton of sugar in them. They're marketed as these healthy drinks, but a lot of them are really, really bad for you. So that's another whole thing, is paying attention to what you eat and drink, and trying to limit how much processed food you have in your diet. And what do I mean by processed food? Think about anything that just doesn't come out naturally from an animal or from a farm. And if it's gone through a bunch of different changes by the industry, that's what processed food really means. You do want to try to focus on proteins and veggies and things that are healthier for you than carbs or French fries or stuff like that. But I know it's really hard to do all these things, so I'm not going to give you a lecture if you don't do exactly what you're supposed to. But when you do get an intervention, medication or surgery, again, these things become a lot easier. And so that's why I am an advocate for doing something about your obesity outside of just diet and exercise. And exercise is still important. Can you get the recommended daily, 3 times a week of 30 minutes or more? Again, hard to do, but try. At least do something, especially on the weekends. Limit your screen time if you can, although this is important, screen time, so don't limit this. Stay on this and subscribe to my channel and send this information to your friends. But if you're spending 3 hours a day looking at a screen, that's too much. Try to get good night's sleep. People don't know that sleep and obesity are really tied closely. And if you're looking at your phone right before you go to bed, that's actually it's known to make your sleep more disrupted and not as healthful and not as restful. And then this is maybe the key. Try to do it either as a family or with one of your friends or some support system. Because doing it on your own, doing any of this on your own is super tough. So, again, share these videos with some of your friends and do this all together and see if it changes anything. We'll talk more about the more advanced options next, like the medications and surgery. But start with the simple things. Just have one less soda a day or less sugar a day. And remember, obesity is a disease, not a lifestyle choice, and there's something you could do about it. And in this case, what you can do about it is just try to change your behavior a little bit, one step at a time. All right? If you like what you're hearing today, there's more of it. Come back and see me again. We'll talk more about the different options that are out there. All right? See you next time.